Hi, my name is Michelle, and I will be focusing on the most affordable graduate school for an MBA in business in 2022 within the United States for my midterm in my CIS 3367 class with Professor Wheeler. Many students, after receiving their bachelor's degree, might consider pursuing a higher education, maybe perhaps working full time, or even pursuing their passion. For me, as a senior, this is the time for me to think about what I will also like to do in the future following graduation. Hearing the benefits of graduate school from others, I decided to do further research on higher institutions and compare them to narrow down a few choices that would be most suitable. Using the US News and World Reporting, I compiled an Excel that lists down all top 45 graduate schools within the United States. Within my data, I chose to compare each graduate school that is a business school, and I compare them with the full-time tuition per year, the amount of full-time students, the state or geographical location and comparison, the percentage of full-time students employed at graduation, the average base salary for students who were able to obtain a full-time offer, and how much that base salary would look like on an average. And last but not least, the acceptance rate for full-time students within all 45 graduate schools. I would also like to note I listed the out-of-state prices for some institutions because of where I reside. In addition, the term affordable in this case does not equate to solely just tuition. To bring a different perspective besides how much tuition might cost, it is crucial to consider how a master's degree at a certain school might assist a student in a career aspect. To further analyze and compare the schools, I made a few charts and added some slicers to provide more in-depth answers. Now, this chart on the left shows a geographical perspective on the acceptance rate, and on this chart, we can see that the states with the darkest shade of blue has the highest acceptance rate. And please remember that these are not just the states with graduate schools, but this is all the states within the top 45 rankings list. And the lightest shade of blue represents the lowest acceptance rate. We can see that New York has an acceptance rate for around 16%. For Florida, there's around 24%. And so we can see that California has the lowest acceptance rate compared to others within the 44 other schools. And California also has the most tuition costs compared to the other states that are included in that list. Now, there might be some type of correlation, but let's actually dive a little further. So personally, for me, if I had to choose a graduate school based on the information I have from these two charts, this is quite high level and it's quite difficult for me to really narrow down the specific school. So in this example, I would choose perhaps a state. Maybe I would go somewhere in the middle and choose Texas, for example, because it's at 36%, which is right in the middle. However, we do see that the tuition for schools in Texas are quite high. On another tab, I created two graphs that go more into a deeper dive that shows the percentage of full-time students employed at graduation, and it will also show the average base salary that graduates receive. And this is also a little bit of a higher overview because we see right here that Texas is a state that has the second highest average base salary graduates receive. Now keep in mind that this is the sum of all of the salary for the schools within Texas. However, this slicer actually allows for the data to be filtered down and narrowed. Let's stick with Texas and let's see what schools within Texas made it to the top 45. We have Rice University, the Texas A&M University, and University of Texas Austin. And we see that the percentage of full-time students are quite high. This is around 78%, and this is the lowest at around 50 to 60%. However, we do see that within those percentages, the average base salary that graduates receive is quite relatively high compared to other states that made it to the list. And let's dive more specifically. Now, going off from the example, let's choose Texas again for the state. And we see that this compares the amount of full-time students within every school in Texas. And we have Austin with the most amount of full-time students, University of Texas in Austin, and the University of Texas at Dallas with the lowest amount of full-time students. So that's also a factor to keep in mind when considering graduate school. Now let's dive a little deeper and look at the actual numbers for full-time tuition per year. And let's continue with Texas. And as we see right here, the University of Texas at Dallas is quite low, around $20,000 to $40,000 for a full-time student per year. And the highest between all Texas graduate schools that made it to the top 45 is around $80,000 to $100,000 per year, which is quite pricey. Now, what does this all mean, and which school is the most affordable then? Well, there's not one correct answer for everyone. However, I can say for me personally, I would rank the University of Texas Austin on my top choices because of how much I can receive from the graduate school. The large class allows me to network with many of my peers and also with professors as well. And the acceptance rate is quite relatively moderate. And that means it might mean that the chances of me being able to enroll in that university might be a little higher as a result. And the average base salary within the state of Texas is quite moderately high compared to the other 45 universities in other states. And now this project taught me how to think like an analyst. Besides showing all the data on one sheet, how can I present it in a way so I can make some correlations that might be true? From a sheet that looked exactly like this with all the raw data, to creating charts to better understand which graduate school might be the good fit for me, I was able to use the tools that I've been learning in class and also learn some tools such as this map right here, which is actually quite simple. What you do is go to your data, make it all into a chart, press insert, and there is an icon that shows the world map. And once you press on it, there will be a chart that appears. Now keep in mind, this map is perfect if your data includes the state within the United States. This clearly shows the acceptance rate in my case. And so this world map function really allows for a user to showcase on a geographical level certain information on a high level. And for me personally, because I would have the University of Texas Austin at the top of my list, this also means that I will be traveling to Texas in the meantime, enjoying Texas barbecue and graduate school. And thanks for tuning in.